Story 1. Get my parents to buy me Apple and Nvidia shares for my birthdays when I am a kid. Buy Bitcoin in 2008 and make lots of copies of my wallet. Retire in my 30s because I am now rich. Story 2. It always sounds like a nice concept at first because everyone focuses on the fact that you could buy stocks or Bitcoin early and make a fortune. Realistically, however, I think it would result in lots of depression and other psychological issues. Let me explain. If you are reborn with all previous knowledge but are a baby, nobody will take you seriously for at least the first 10 years of your life. During that time period, every person will treat you as a child, and all of your major social interactions will be with children while your mind is still stuck at the age you were reborn at. I would absolutely go crazy having to spend the majority of my time being talked to like a kid and having to only socially interact with kids. The maturity difference and the way you get treated would be insane. And good luck trying to convince any sane adult that you're stuck in a reincarnation with memory situation. Also, you would go crazy trying to relive your life for some of the better moments. You might remember how and when you met your best friends, your spouse, or other important people in your life. But do you remember the exact conversations that took place to get you to a deeper relationship? Imagine meeting your spouse after all those years of waiting for the moment, only to say something different and the whole path that you take doesn't result in the same outcome. The only way to avoid that is to be completely okay living an entirely different life than your current go-around, and for the vast majority of people, it would be heartbreaking to lose all those you care about, regardless of the Bitcoin money you've made. Too long. Didn't read. Sure, you'd be rich, but you'd go crazy first. Story 3. Be physically active from childhood. Avoid people-pleasing. Pursue an attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder diagnosis in middle school, finish college. Decline that date with the guy who became my ex-husband. Story 4. Spend more time with my mother, who will pass away in 12 years. Try to convince my parents that attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is real and get diagnosed. It didn't happen until I was 29. Past that, you're really getting into the question of whether you want to try a new life or just improve the one you had. For example, I ended up being a programmer, but I didn't really use a computer until I was in college. Should I have started earlier? Tried to attend a better college? So much of my current life is a direct consequence of where I went to school. Story 5. Do not allow yourself to be put into advanced classes. Do not get into playing the cello. As soon as you can, get a hysterectomy, even if you have to go to another country to make it happen. Brush your teeth more often. Focus on your art and poetry. Story 6. So should I start today or go back to when I was originally born? If I go back in time, I would invest my money into stocks or Bitcoin. I would also bet on every major sporting event as I would know the outcome. Story 7. I do not wish for such a thing because I have pets, and if I were to find out my late pets' illnesses earlier and kept them alive, I wouldn't have my current pets. So I either save my late pets or I never meet my new pets. I cannot make that choice. I don't want to feel the guilt of deciding their fates. This is something that pains me just to think about. Story 8. Don't date the evil one right after breaking up with my first girlfriend. Make exercise a habit. Ask out the girls/women I have a crush on regardless of how unlikely it is. Story 9. That's the exact setting of the book, The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Catherine Webb. You should read it if you're interested in that mental exercise. Story 10. Aside from making some really good investments, I would struggle so much to choose what to do. I can't imagine life without my partner, who is of a different nationality, but I would also want to stop myself from splitting my soul in two by establishing lifelong friendships in two separate countries. Story 11. Convince my parents I'm a psychic demon child. You can't be fighting over money and personal problems if you're too concerned about your child coming up to you and sharing details about your personal life they absolutely shouldn't know, and predicting when people will die. Also, spend more time with my great-grandfather before he dies. I didn't spend nearly enough time with him due to his difficult wife. Story 12. Reborn? When? Now or then? All that I know now is that I was bad enough as a kid. I'd be terrible. Tested out of high school in my early teens. Straight as in everything except French, which I refused to learn. Graduated before I was 18 with a first-class honors degree. since I already knew all the answers for electrical engineering at that time. Moved to Silicon Valley and was there near the start. Cashed out and moved to Scotland around 2000. Retired in my 30s, bringing up my kids somewhere relatively safe. Story 13. Wait, why do I have to repeat this life exactly if I know more? If I went back to the early 1970s, I would invest money, make sports bets, turn left when I originally turned right, and write the great novels. I was thinking of writing a book about a boy wizard who went to school for magic. I never read Harry Potter or watched the movies, so that is my knowledge of the series. Story 14. I have no idea, honestly. The fact of the matter is that I made some very big mistakes in life that I would never do again given the opportunity. But also, if I hadn't made those mistakes, I wouldn't be where I am now. I would be living in a different place, not have ever met my wife, likely living in a much more unstable place and much more unhappy. If I had to correct those mistakes, it would change a lot of lives for the better. But I would very likely be sacrificing my own future happiness by doing it. Story 15. Look into Tesla and Nvidia shares, convert all my money into Bitcoin in high school. I'll probably cash out early anyway to move my mom and sisters somewhere better. Then, just really take this life to find what I want in life without the stress of having to make enough money to survive. Story 16. If you're going to repeat this life, then you wouldn't do anything different, as then you wouldn't be repeating this life. You'd be living a different version of it. I'm of the opinion that this is what I will experience, this life infinitely. That's fine. Love your fate. Story 17. I don't know. That's a really hard question. The first 20 years of my life were terrible. But these last 15 have been amazing now that I've been able to be fully independent. I'm so thankful for the life I have now, which I wouldn't have if I hadn't gone through my tough beginnings. But I don't know if I could do that again, especially since I know it wouldn't be the same with the knowledge I have now, meaning I wouldn't be guaranteed the life I love now. I wouldn't mind a couple of redo spots to reduce my nightly cringe playback. But I don't think I'd want to start over. Story 18. Be the twin that was absorbed. I don't want to be the fittest that survived anymore. Little guy got out of so much, and I swear he was the reason I looked like a boy before puberty. Laughing out loud. Story 19. Operating under the assumption everything is a fixed event, I would just enjoy the ride. I have not had an easy life, but it is mine, and it is what it is. Story 20. I would give an impassioned speech about class solidarity on the playground and rally the other children to my cause of eternal recess by staging a coup in elementary school. Story 21. People need to think bigger. You can leverage in the market to become the richest in the world, enough to make the world change for the better. You don't convince politicians, you own them. You don't convince big oil, you own them. Shorting stocks is where the real money is. Lie on financing forms to leverage your positions 1,000 times what you should. Nobody goes to jail when you pay off your financing. Story 22. One of my favorite books is about this. The 15 Lives of Henry August. Talks about this happening. I think the author did a great job thinking about mental health and how this would work. Things like being 4 years old and no one is listening. Or being obscenely rich and how that becomes boring over time. Story 23. Panic because even the slightest change would result in my daughter either not being born or being a totally different person. I wouldn't trade her even for the vast amounts of wealth I could accumulate with the right investments along the way. Story 24. So much more consequence-free fighting. I was heavily bullied in school to the point of being kicked on the ground, and looking back on it, I only once fought back after years. I would have made my hand into a fist and swung it quickly at so many fellow children. Story 25. Spend more time with my grandmother. Panic because I remember my children and know that it's virtually impossible to recreate them exactly as they were. Probably get severe depression due to this and the fact that my 40-year-old brain is stuck in a baby or toddler without any agency over myself. Story 26. Wait, I get to go through all the angst of my teenage and early adult years all over again, except this time from the position of someone who accepts who I am and maintains a positive outlook despite it. Rather than last time when I just hated myself and the world for being the way I am. That sounds great. Sign me up. Story 27. I do not know. I would really hate to be sentient as a baby. What am I going to be talking and stuff right out of the womb? I would have to tell my parents about the situation or that I am a time traveler or something. There is no way I could realistically act like a baby with my current brain and learn mannerisms. Story 28. Honestly, not too much different. I like my life. I probably would not get married when I did. I would take more classes in Microsoft Excel and adopt a guinea pig sooner. But that is really it. I am well respected in my career field. I have plenty of friends. Despite struggles, I have carved out a pretty good life, and I would get bored if all of that had come easier. Story 29. Become a prophet, I guess. Mess up this timeline even worse? Fix it for the best? Have everyone ignore me like always? The world may never know. Going to get my dad to teach my mom to drive. Going to ensure I can get money for travel so my mom can see her parents overseas again. Going to meet my husband 5 years earlier. That couldn't possibly go wrong. Get my mom therapy. I realize a lot of this involves my mom, but it would make everyone in my life happier. Probably force my sister into therapy too. Story 30. I spent my whole life being nice, polite, funny, and helpful, all because I wanted everyone to like me. It didn't work. So, if I woke up in this full self-awareness land, I would have a wild and wicked Heath Ledger-style grin. Story 31. Start eating healthier earlier so I don't gain so much weight. Start good exercise habits earlier and maintain them. I was thinking about changing majors to computer programming instead of engineering. However, I think I would still choose the same major and job. It has a lot of stability, which is really important in this economy. I might just take a couple of extra programming classes. Story 32. Honestly, not a damn thing. Maybe skip out on vocational school since what I went for wasn't entirely what I was looking to do. That and end one of my relationships way faster. But other than that, I'm glad things happened the way they did. Story 33. Well, I'm gonna have to assume some sort of alternate timeline, mostly because there is no way to do everything the same and end up with my wife and the same kids. So, with that out of the way, for much of my childhood, probably not much would be different. Maybe go for a PlayStation over a Nintendo 64. I would definitely keep track of my Pokemon cards and safely store the good ones. Pay much better attention to math. With much more time and current knowledge, try to pick up a few coding languages and really understand them. Get into Bitcoin when it was worth almost nothing. Save a few drives in a safe place. Try to buy some tech stocks in college before they really started to take off. Keep that first new car for a long time. No need to buy something nicer. Apply myself more at work and in my career. No, showing up and doing your job isn't going to work out. Be ready to jump ship at any moment. Actually have an emergency fund. Don't live in Florida. Explore different sides of myself while still single. Hopefully be way better off financially. Embrace being a little weird. It's okay. Live where you are happy. Don't try and chase every new shiny thing. Live small, dream big, be patient, and think everything through. Story 34. I would accept that eventually I would be where I am now with no friends, no family, and no support network. Knowing that, I would spend my teenage years focusing on myself, on my intellectual, career, and physical growth. I would not worry about friends, dating, social settings, drinking, or partying. I would probably have joined the military for the GI Bill and to help me pay for college, as this was before the perpetual wars of the 21st century. Maybe try to get in with the Central Intelligence Agency so I could study ciphers and code breaking because I think it is interesting. Get a better degree than political science, some STEM degree, and make money and stash it away for a rainy day. I would accept my complete solitude. Work more, save more, and travel more. And of course, invest in Google, MySpace, Facebook, and all these companies long before they got big. Story 35. Reborn as in today in a new body with these memories, or reborn at the time I was naturally born but with these memories. Because if it was when I was naturally born, I would find my now girlfriend and be the friend she never had and do everything I could to prevent all the hurt life has put her through. Or at the very least, be there to support her. Other than that, boring answers. Excel in school and get a master's degree by 16. Make a bunch of smart investments that pay off so I can make enough money to start a charity while also making sure my family can live comfortably. Story 36. I'd listen to my great mother's stories. I'd ask her more questions. I'd pick my great-grandfather's brain about his life and experiences, and I'd hug my mom every day. You all enjoy Bitcoin. Story 37. There are too many factors that shape your life, for better or for worse, in your control or not. If you use this as an opportunity to fix your life, who knows what you might accidentally mess up. You would go crazy trying to match up certain events and meet certain people. Even if you did change your life, who is to say you would actually enjoy it? Also, do not underestimate the weird mental disconnect from your current reality and the life that you knew. It would be hard to overcome. Unless you were determined to completely change your life in the most dramatic way or harming yourself, this sounds like a nightmare.